I don't know if you're seeing this. I think I was not recording. Now this is the security door. It's Porte de 24, 24. I think I wasn't recording as I was trying to tell you about the hugeness of this store. This is a place where I was beaten. I was beaten here by black men. What happened was, as I said, they have a very unhealthy attitude towards black women. They want them to be submissive, and they want them to behave in a very specific way. They want them to either fill the cliche of a hoochie mama. Well, that's perfectly acceptable. Nothing. But if you appear to be sophisticated, then they don't think that you have the right to a private life. So often they will behave inappropriately towards you. I don't know whether this happens in America. It could very well be happening in America too, because times are changing. But generally speaking, we left this behind years ago. I think what happens is that what happens is that women of color are called upon to behave in very specific and limited ways. A black woman is called upon to be extremely discreet, to not speak up, to not talk, to dress very discreetly. If she chooses to not dress discreetly, she may choose to dress as a hoochie mama, dressing. I may be repeating myself, but I think I wasn't recording previously. They will accept if you dress in a very sexual, provocative way. They will accept if you're dressed very submissively, very discreetly, almost invisible. But should you just choose to dress as any ordinary Westerner, with your own character and independence and individuality expressed in your clothing, either dressing with humor or dressing with style or just behaving spontaneously, then you draw attention and you draw sexual harassment if you're young enough, or you draw severe let's say prejudice. You just severe. I don't want to say prejudice because it means something specific in the United States, but you will draw attention. You will be disciplined. And so, in the past, because of my previous youth in this country and just, having a certain appearance, I was preyed upon by these security officers. You see, they have a vast amount. They have nothing to do. That's part of the danger of security profession. They have a lot of just watching and waiting and looking, and they're bored, and they see a woman and they think, well, I'm going to, in this country, I don't believe it ever happens in America, but security officers, well, why don't I use my position to toy with this woman, flirt with this woman, even sexually harass. And I have been sexually harassed. I mean, the law is that you cannot ask a security officer in a public store, cannot ask for your identification card. Well, that happened to me. Security officers, about 6 of them came around, just toying with me, playing with me, asking me all sorts of personal questions, and forcing me by intimidation to give them my identification card, which they then took and passed around, discussing my life and discussing me. And that is a really strange thing. When I tried to complain about this, no complaint has ever passed through. So you're basically in a crazy land. If you're a black woman and you're in this country, you just have to cross your fingers and hope. Now, this is the danger that I threw myself in. I previously did not live in the Ile-de-France, which is Ile-de-France is what we call the region in which Paris is located. And I'd never been here. I've been here and visited on various occasions, but I never really spent time here. And I didn't know that you really, it's just a disgrace. The role of a black woman is so low, your position is so low. I think we all know that black people, that race has played a role in hierarchizing people. So you have, the whites at the very top, and you have the Asians, and, then you have the blacks, sitting at the very lowest. And, in America, you see blacks having a very low social position and being very vulnerable. But still, there's a certain amount of value attributed to women of color. They are respected. I saw this video where the black woman was accosted by a police officer, and she ended up hanging herself. And this is a horrible tragedy, but I tend to believe that this rarely occurs, whereas I'm sure that this happens quite a bit. I was beaten by these security officers, and that is what I want to put on this video, that I was beaten by these security officers. I'm not going to go in the store just yet. I'll splice it in later when I get into the store, because they're never going to let me go in with the camera in my hand. But this is Carrefour. This is where I was beaten. I came in the store. A black woman, I went to go to her register, and she didn't like my look, so she started disrespecting me. And she behaved disrespectfully, but I was on the phone, so I really didn't pay attention, but I didn't like her energy, so I moved to another. I was going to move to another register, but I put my things in a basket before I moved. And then she yelled after me, I see you eating grapes, and she's just screaming at me in a very disrespectful way, because that is what happens when you get into this ghetto area, and when you're at night, I guess, is another dimension of this. The people behave in savage ways that have nothing to do with retail. If you look at retail in America, most places in America, there's something there's courtesy, there's civility, and then there's this I don't know, there's this customer service principle of smiling and wishing you well, and how are you today, and thank you very much, and then there's a whole Christian thing which is present in America that is very lacking here. They don't have those Christian principles of I'm not trying to make a judgment, but simply speaking, this is a country which is a secular nation, and Christian principles of courtesy and Christian charity do not exist in the public arena. There's no call for that, and there's no logic behind it. And so people do not have that to rely upon. There is a total disregard for the service field. People do not appreciate being called upon to help or work for others. They see it as humiliating and debasing. They do not like to support others. And so the service fields, which we're all talking about in America, the tertiary field, the third aspect of economy, where supposedly service was our future, we were throwing away industry. I don't want to say throwing away, but we're leaning less and less on the industrialized dimension of our economies and turning more and more to service. That's the future of educated people. This is what my political science teachers taught me when I was in college. That was our future. Service, banking, sales, and all of these other areas. These were going to develop, in industry and factories and so forth were going to be disappearing. But that obviously has not been successful in this nation because they fail at service. They are unable to provide service. They're unable to provide service with warmth, with competence, with assiduity. They simply do not have it in them to provide service. So this entire arena, which is actually a very large arena, is entirely, I don't know what the word would be. I mean, I'm just saying these things offhand. I haven't prepared this video. And I just want to try to communicate to you how the French are terribly inadequate in the area of service. And they will provide service reluctantly to those who they believe, according to their societal values, those who they believe deserve it, such as whites and wealth. Wealthy whites and wealthy people in general deserve good service, so they begrudgingly provide it. But people of color, you are not supposed to receive good service. And I'm summing up this very loose-handedly, because I think you really can't sum up a nation in a brief video such as this. What I'm really trying to communicate to the web is that I was beaten in this place, and the reason I was beaten is because a black woman, black like I am, she didn't like. We never even exchanged words. I was approaching her, but I was approaching her register. But when I saw what a evil temper she had, I quickly moved away and put my things back into the basket. But since I was on the phone, I didn't put them at another register. As I proceeded to the other register, she had come up with a strategy, which was to accuse me of eating grapes. I had a little small bag of grapes that I had not weighed. So she accused me of eating grapes. She didn't see what was in my mouth. She didn't test what was in my mouth. There's no way she could have known whether I was eating or not, but she accused me of eating grapes. She called the security officer. The security officer came over to me. I was speaking on the phone in a conversation which was important to me. He began screaming at me and screaming, and he worked himself into a rage all by himself, and then he just grabbed my arm. He twisted it. He ripped these things out of my... He pushed me and he pulled me. He generally accosted me, and I spoke in English. Well, that was a great sin to him, because previously, apparently, someone had heard me speak in French, and they began berating me, accusing me of being a cheat and a liar because I supposedly was capable of speaking French but chose to speak in English to beguile them, to cheat them, and to lie to them. So the next thing that happened was that I was so terribly shocked and afraid and worried. As anyone can imagine, I'm a 5'4" woman. This man was a large man, and he was a very aggressive and brutal man. He told me, "Allez te faire foutre," which means go F yourself, screaming in my face. So he accosted me verbally, he accosted me physically, and he accosted me emotionally. I went, then they have the customer service personnel, which wear a bright blue vest. They were watching me. Everyone was watching me. It was a circus-like event. And I realized that there was an element of sadism. And, there was an element, they have a problem here. They are totally incompetent. It's very sad that they have no ability to manage, no ability whatsoever to manage. So they're people, they have this solidarity amongst themselves, and they have bonded together. And so it was more important to them to get along with these threatening and frightening security officers than it was to fulfill their duties as employees. So they did not help me. No one came to my help as this man berated me. I got my phone and I called the police. The police told me to leave because it appeared to be dangerous, and then they refused to let me leave. I went to the customer service, and they told me the customer service representative backed away from the counter, refusing to help me. And so this is what, and I'm just asking any one of you who is American to boycott this company. Do not use this company. Do not use this company. If you ever come to France, I ask you to not use this company out of solidarity to me. As I said, I went to the customer service desk. They refused me help. A security officer approached me as though I was a crazed criminal with a gun, which obviously I was not, but he chose to stare me down, to intimidate me. And then they have this very sad and pathetic thing which they do in France, which I think is sad. They become aggressive if you do not say hello to them. Apparently, it's like spitting in your face if you do not say hello. So he was staring at me, and I'm just getting kind of freaked out and creeped out that this man is staring at me. He's about 6'6", and he's staring at me, this big black eye, And it's not his race, it's not his color, it's just that this is a really big, intimidating man. And he was bringing all his intimidation to bear upon me. This was another man. He had all these things around his neck, these cards. And I'm staring at him. I said, I would like to speak to, after a while, I realized he was never going to speak to me. I said, I'd like to speak to the person responsible. He said, you are going to say hello to me, which is their big thing. How dare you not say hello to me? They like to police, and he starts teaching me. I'm a woman. I'm older than he is, and I'm a woman. He began disciplining me in a vulgar and disgraceful and humiliating way. And then, as I said, they refused to allow me to go. They began trying to take me into the security room over a grape. It was a grape that they were accusing me. And then I said, well, what do you want? What do you want from me? Do you want me to pay for the grapes? So I offered to pay for the grapes, and they accused me of being such a liar. They didn't even know me. They had never seen me before. Because they changed the security officer. Even though I have not been here in a while, even if I had been here, they wouldn't have known me because they changed these men. And these are wild, savage men. It's like a gang. And they have, this company should not be open. It should not be open, because I believe that if they treat a well-dressed, and well-behaved, mature woman like this, what do they do to young women? How many people have they perhaps beaten or raped or molested as they drag them into these secret offices, which is what they were trying to do? I repeatedly called the police, and the police repeatedly said, let me speak to them, and they refused to get on the phone with the police. They were a law unto themselves. What they were doing was entirely against the law, and it's entirely against the store policy. They're just doing it because of the lawlessness that reigns here. So once again, I ask you to boycott this store. If should you ever come to this country, do not use this store. Do not use this store. Do not accept its policies of brutalizing, people of color when they are in what they call a neighborhood, a hot neighborhood. They call it un quartier chaud, you know, a hot neighborhood, because apparently around here there's some ghettos. Now, it just so happens that some ghetto buildings are what they call ghettos, these cités, which I know I'm speaking in a sort of like a shorthand. It really should, technically, you shouldn't call it a ghetto. They're just housing. Oh my goodness, there's just a man. This is the man who attacked me. This is the man who attacked me. This is the man who attacked me. They told me they were going to fire him. This is crazy. This is the man who attacked me. I'm going to go into the store. Hold on a second. Anyway, I'm going to speak to you.